Rakesh Singh.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us today on this really exciting day for us. And we would also like to welcome Martin and Nick, who are joining us remotely over the conferencing system. So, as Charu said, we are really excited today with our first batch of Startup Accelerator Innovators graduating. We have 5 internal startups, if you will, and 4 external ones who have worked over the last 12 weeks to reach this milestone. It's been a great journey for us. We would like to thank NASSCOM, we would like to thank TIE and IPL, the Institute of Product Leadership, not the other one. And also we would like to thank everyone in the ecosystem, other companies with startup accelerators and everyone who have helped mentor and guide us. It's been a great journey, and as you speak to the 9 startups that have gone through the program, all have very specific things to say about how this was a game-changing experience for them, how it helped them pivot in many cases, and so we are very excited that you have helped us do that. I am committed, Citrix is committed, we are very committed to this program, to taking it forward. I think we are planning on running it twice a year. We are looking at starting the next batch potentially in June. So hopefully, we will work with you and look forward to support from you for that. At this stage, I would like to welcome on stage our leader of the Global Startup Accelerator Program, John McIntyre.
Thank you. Hey everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the warm introduction, Rakesh. Hi everybody, again my name is John McIntyre and I run the Citrix Startup Accelerator globally for Citrix. Came to Bangalore for the first time last November to kick off this cohort. So I'm so excited to be here to see the teams and how they've done over the last 3 months and share it with you. It was just about 4 years ago that I met this gentleman by the name of Ravi Giriraj while he was still with Citrix. And he had been coming over to Silicon Valley as we launched the Startup Accelerator, asking if we were interested in investing in Indian companies. And I certainly was, but I had to admit I didn't know much about the ecosystem here. So we actually did a couple of investments. We did an investment in a startup called Grexit back in 2011, and then a subsequent investment a couple of years ago in Tabora. And so those have been 2 really interesting companies to work with. And we've done a lot of investments outside of Silicon Valley of the 26 seed investments we've done over the last 4 years. But it made me realize we were missing something. It's one thing to give these companies some money. It's one thing to give them mentoring and try to do introductions with customers. But I felt we needed to bring a program outside of Silicon Valley to those companies that don't have the advantages of running around the valley and having all these resources available to them. So that's why we created this Innovators program. And we are committed to running it here in Bangalore on a regular basis and other places in the world. So why are we doing this? What's the motivation behind it? Well, let me tell you 2 quick stories about myself and about bringing great products to the marketplace. So when I graduated from university, electrical engineering degree, I got my first job at Intel. Fantastic. Flew to California, went to my first meeting for this product group in the memory division. Now, most of you think about Intel, you think about microprocessors. And indeed, by the time I started at Intel in the late 80s, the microprocessors had taken off with the PC marketplace. So memories weren't the cool place to be anymore. In fact, I don't know how many of you know this, but the original business plan for Intel was around memory devices. Random access memories, as we call them today, were the main business for Intel through the 70s. But in the 1970s, the Japanese had entered the market with superior manufacturing, and they commoditized the marketplace. And Intel was on the ropes. We weren't doing well at all. Our CEO at the time, Andy Grove, actually wrote a book in the 1980s called Only the Paranoid Survive. So if you want to do the full case study on Intel, you can do that. But this is a lesson learned by all established companies. They may take a product ride up and do very well, but then the life cycle levels off and then it declines. And that's what was happening at Intel. Fortunately, we have this great new product, the 286 and 386, that saved the day for Intel. But I was in this kind of less glamorous memory division, and we had a new technology, though, that we thought would really revolutionize computers. It was called flash memory. And today we take all the flash for granted, but at that point, back in 1987, it was a great new technology, but it wasn't obvious that it could change the marketplace. But I had this great manager, my first time at Intel, at my first meeting, and he walked into the meeting and said, we are going to change what computers look like. We're going to revolutionize PC architecture, and they're going to look like this. And he literally held up a little black box in his hand. You know, why is it that PCs today, they've got a microprocessor in the center and they have this memory around them, but the bad news is when you pull the plug on a PC, where the battery goes out, it forgets. It doesn't have it has a non-volatile memory, so it forgets. So with this new flash technology, we don't need to have storage devices like hard disks around that. We can have just one memory that doesn't forget when the electricity goes out. And then we can create a handheld computer. Seriously, he held up a thing like this, and we all looked at him like, what, are you crazy? You know, computers sit under our desk. They look like this, you know, and a small one looks like a sewing machine. Little did I know at that time that, you know, this would become a reality. It took 20 years. In 2007, the iPhone was introduced. But there were, along the way, there was innovations that caught. And I think it was 1993, the Apple Newton was introduced. It was not a successful product, as many as you will recall, but it was a step in the right direction. In 1992, this company called Palm Computing was formed. And in 1996, they introduced the Palm Pilot. The Palm Pilot was a highly successful PDA, as we called it in the day, and it made the stepping stones for this type of product. So the point of all that is that large companies, small startups, and the whole ecosystem really needs to come together to create great new products. No one company can do it on their own, and that's why Citrix is partnering with startups and funding startups and other companies and investors to do a program like our Innovators program. We really want to pull together the ecosystem as a whole and skill people up to bring great new products to the marketplace. One last story before I go. When we launched our first Innovators program last year, I told this story to the teams here when we got started. We asked that all the teams, when they come to class once a week, because we meet as a cohort once a week, that they do 10 interviews every week, that they target 10 interviews, so they do 100 for the whole time they're with us. And that when they come at the beginning of the class, they tell us what they learned this week, because we're using lean principles, right? You have a hypothesis about what your product solves. You have potential customers. Go talk to them, get out of the building, come back and tell us what you learned. So this one entrepreneur, really great guy, smart guy, his name's Tony. He worked at SAP for a number of years, had this really great idea for an accelerated algorithm for machine learning. And as you may know, machine learning is really hot right now. So Tony looked like a very attractive early investment to the investors in Silicon Valley. In fact, he had a commitment for $1 million in seed funding, and he was going to use that money to fund a couple of key hires of PhD level folks to join his team. But while he was in our program, we were 3 weeks in, he came in and he said, well, I've done my 30 interviews and people love what I'm doing. And we hear this from entrepreneurs all the time. I have a great product, everybody loves it. And, you know, furthermore, they love me. They think I'm the right guy to do this, and they love the team I'm putting together. So everything is looking good. But we train Tony to ask more questions. They do a real serious interview about why the customer would want to buy this product and what problem does it solve for the customer. Put yourself in the customer's shoes. And he said, you know, after 30 interviews, I'd get to the end of that and I'd say, so will you buy my product when I have it ready? And every one of them said no. They said no because this feels more like a feature. I'd buy it as part of a different product, but I don't think I'd pay you to buy this algorithm for machine learning. So Tony told the cohort right then and there, I'm dropping the idea. I'm not going to take the $1 million. I'm not going to hire some of my PhD friends. I'm just going to walk away from that thing, and I'm going to go work on something else for the next weeks while I'm in the program. So that was a shock to all of us that somebody literally walked away from $1 million. He wrote a blog post on that. You can look it up, how I saved a year of my life at $1 million. If you Google that, you'll find Tony Diepenbrock. And that's the important thing, that he realized that it would have been easy to take the money, and he took the discipline not to take the money and go find a different business model that he could really get behind because he knew customers wanted that. So that's another thing that we want to get out of this program. You hear about fail fast. We want to give permission to these entrepreneurs to go and test their ideas in the marketplace. But before we put a lot of money, or somebody else puts a lot of money into it, or a lot of time, give people the opportunity to pivot, persevere, or just kill it and go on to something else. Tony, by the way, 6 months later launched a different business, and he's doing quite well. So the last thing I want to leave you with, the last key point is, what you are going to see today are 9 great teams talking about 9 great products. We don't actually know if these products are going to be successful in the marketplace. But we do know that we've helped these 9 teams take a step in the right direction on how you bring a product to market. Because I think here in India in particular, you have a wealth of good engineering talent, and there's a huge potential for bringing great new products to market. And I'm sure it's going to happen. Somebody's going to do it. But we want to make sure we're creating innovation leaders, both internally in companies like Citrix and partners of ours, and externally, who can figure out how to get those products to market. So that's the really key deliverable we're seeing out of this program today. So as you meet the teams today and you see their presentations and you go talk to them later, keep an eye on these guys. Whether this product succeeds or not in the marketplace, I got a feeling they're going to be back until they figure it out. So that's it for me. I do want to just say a few things about the program going forward. We already said, we plan to run it on a regular basis here in Bangalore, so we hope to launch it again this summer and keep that pace going that we're doing it twice a year. We are looking for partners, okay? So if you're a corporation, if you're a VC or another type of investor or any other kind of organization that'd like to work with us, we've worked with NASCOM and others, and we'd like to work with more people to bring together this open innovation platform where we can really create new products as a whole industry as opposed to trying to do it as one company or one startup. A number of people came together to put this together, and I just want to say a couple quick thank yous before I give the mic back to Charu. My team back in California, a lot of them couldn't make it here today, so I want to thank them. And also our customer experience team at Citrix. We had a really close working relationship with them to bring these concepts around design thinking and customer empathy into our program. In particular, Olya Trasova, who isn't here today, kicked off this whole program with our boot camp back in November, and I want to thank her and our other colleagues there. We've built a capability here in Bangalore. Nick O'Connor is our primary master instructor back in California, but we've got a lot of help from Pinkesh Shah from the Institute of Product Leadership. I think, Pinkesh, you're here somewhere? There he is. Say hi to Pinkesh. He's been really a big helper for us as our local training partner. The local Citrix R&D team was key. I couldn't have done this from California on my own, so I want to thank Rakesh for helping us give it his support. I met with him last year to get his support to just do this. But then I met Charles Fernandez, who's the director for Citrix R&D here. Charles was a really key business partner for me to get this program off the ground here. So thank you, Charles, very much. And Charles is down here. And really the main person that drove this program over the last weeks is Charu Sharma. So Charu's your master of ceremonies today, so I want to bring her back up here and thank you very much for all your great work. Thank you. Big loud applause for Charu. All right, thank you. All right. Yep.